Are you tired of grinding for catalyst materials like it's your full-time job? Yeah, me too. Crafting catalyst feels like a never-ending to-do list because, well, it kind of is. I always try to keep catalyst cooking, but with this painfully long 7.5-hour research time, my playtime turns into a scavenger hunt for resources. Gotta be ready for the next batch, right? And if you're like me, playing the same activities over and over gets old real quick. So I decided to put an end to the madness. I tested all the best farming spots and figured out how to gather everything you need to craft 10 catalysts in just over an hour. Yep, that's enough to max out a Descendant. Let's get into it.
Tux makes it exciting!
To craft a single catalyst, we need 8 murky residues, 22 biogels, 8 mixed residues, and 18 advanced neural circuits. And then it's gonna cost a little over 187,000 in gold to craft a single one. Then the 7.5-hour wait begins. But instead of going back out there to farm all that over again, I made a guide to do it in one swoop. If you follow these steps, you will have enough resources to craft 10 catalysts. Why 10? Because that's how many catalysts you need to fully level up your Descendant on average. Weapons are usually only 8, so this works for those too. There are only 4 steps and it's gonna take an hour and 15 minutes to get all the resources for 10 catalysts. And more good news, you're only gonna need 2 Descendants to complete this. Really only one. You only need Bunny, of course, because she's fast and efficient, but you also need Enzo because some of these things are locked behind vaults and he makes those vaults easier to open and also grants you more drops out of those vaults. So 10 catalysts means 80 murky residues, 220 biogels, 180 advanced neural circuits, 80 mixed energy residues, and then we're also going to get 11 amorphous patterns. Those are a bonus, and after this, I'm going to open those and show you how many catalyst blueprints we're going to get out of those. The odds are actually pretty decent on these because of the source. Okay, so for step 1, what we're after is 220 biogels, those macromolecule biogels. You have a couple of options for biogels. The most well-known spot is actually coming out of Echo Swamp, the Chapel. You can get this done in about 5 minutes and it's gonna drop with 100% guarantee about 18 biogels. But I timed this and it's a lot faster. So what you're seeing here is the spreadsheet with the results of all of my testing. The Derelict Swamp Outpost, those biogels, they drop very consistently. I was getting an average drop of 11 per minute, which is crazy. I got a ton of these now, and you're also getting other stuff. And what's really cool about this particular farm is you're not only getting those, but you're also getting amorphous patterns. And the outpost we're talking about is this one here. I also tested this one. They're basically the same as far as results, but I like this one. And that's because you get pattern number 82. And just so you know, pattern 82 gives you the ultimate bunny code for those of you that need that. And then of course the crystallization catalyst and the secret garden polymer. And Kyle, if you need that. So we're gonna spend 20 minutes in here. That's it, just 20 minutes. And we're gonna come out with 220 macro molecule biogels. That's enough to craft 10 catalysts. And you're gonna come out with about 10 to 11 amorphous patterns. And this particular activity is gonna give you 475,000 in gold and a little over 10,000 in Kuiper also. And this doesn't include the stuff or the resources that are dropping as well outside of this and the things that you're deconstructing. You could do this in group, but it's basically just as fast to do it solo. I did both, but I did end up preferring solo because sometimes somebody would come through and want to do a sharing strategy and that slows you down. Of course, as the 1 minute wait time, the cycle was about 73 seconds. So that's how long it took, including the wait time. And so that's in this calculation. The drops aren't 100% guaranteed, but it's a very high chance. And you're gonna get anything from like 15 per drop all the way up to like 22. Okay, pro tip, make sure you equip an auxiliary power unit with Kuiper drop rate modifier, a memory unit with gold drop rate, and a sensor, this one's most important, with consumable drop rate, because you might as well.
Let's do this!
Okay, so now that we got all of our macro molecule biogels to craft 10 catalysts, it's time to get our murky energy residues. I tested this in a couple of different ways. So Sterile Lands Forgottens is the go-to for this particular resource. It's actually faster on normal mode. Now the drops are higher on hard mode, but you can get more cycles in on normal mode, and gold and Kuiper and XP aren't going to matter, because what we're going to do here is we're actually going to abandon the mission as soon as we get our resource. And the difference between normal mode and hard mode, I mean, you're basically cruising through it at the same sprint time. It's just that there's less wait time in between those activities. There's this one spot where they kind of make you hold it down. You can skip through that. And also the boss spawning that actually drops the resource, he's basically there waiting for you. If you do it on hard mode, you have to clear a couple of waves and do damage to the communication tower before the boss actually spawns. And so that's what normal does for you. It makes the boss available immediately. And that right there is the biggest time saver of it all. And drops per minute on Sterile Land, I was getting 6 drops per minute of that murky on normal mode. And in hard, it panned out to 4 drops per minute. You need 80. So the time it's going to take you to do that is going to be approximately 14 minutes. Just like the macromolecule biogels, the drops are going to be a variable, but on this one, it is a guarantee. He drops every single time. Okay, next up are the advanced neural circuits. And this one's sort of a drag. I'm kind of sick of farming these. Yeah, so in this one, you need 18. But for some reason, these advanced neural circuits, I feel like I'm always farming. And yeah, so White Knight Gulch, and I'm usually doing it in outskirts. And the reason why I typically do it in outskirts, but we're not going to do it in outskirts this time. But I typically go to outskirts because I'm also doing something else, like leveling. So in the outskirts, there's just a lot of enemies, and that's great for your XP. So it's just an overall good place to spend your time. So feel free if you want to do that. But for this, what I recommend is actually going to be the Borderline of Truth, which is also in White Knight Gulch. And we're going to spend 28 minutes there. Now, if you did this in the outskirts, you would have to spend a lot more time there. So in Borderline of Truth, you get 6 drops per minute on average, compared to the outskirts, which is giving you 3 drops per minute on average. So this is twice as fast. So in 30 minutes time, I came out with 193 of these bad boys. So just to show you how to get there real quick, the White Knight Gulch, it's in mountaintops. So you're gonna head over here. If you have this fast travel point, that's great. And there'll be a little lift to take you across. And this is the mission right here. If you don't have this fast travel point, well, go get it. But you're gonna have to start up here and make your way and make a little jog to get there. You're gonna get, I think it's 3 bosses that spawn, but they all spawn right there in the middle. So you just run a tight little circle right there in the middle. I mean, an average bunny build will handle this real well. I mean, and I got tons of loot while I was here. I mean, tons. So I try to line up these activities with the best farms in the game. So that way, when the loot, the targeted loot, aligns with these farms, they're even more attractive, because you're also going to get those neural circuits, and you're going to get a lot of them, and you're going to get gold, and you're going to get Kuiper, and you're going to get XP. Outskirts is going to give you more XP and gold than this one would, but this one you're going to get more neural circuits. So whatever you're after. So once you get your 180 advanced neural circuits, it's time to open encrypted vaults. So if you missed my last guide, then I'm going to point you to that. But I did an in-depth guide on the fastest codebreaker farm. So definitely check out that video. I'll make sure I put a link down below. At the bottom of this guide, here is my recommended best place to farm codebreakers. And you're going to need 10 of these. Now, most people are going to have enough codebreakers to do this, but just in case you run out, there you go. And then I also have the best locations for vaults in Agna Desert. So that's where we're going to be headed. So you're going to end up opening between 9 and 10 vaults, because RNG determines what type of vault you're going to get. The resource coming out of them will always be mixed energy residue. So it's the quantity that changes, and this is where you're going to need Enzo. So Enzo is going to help push out more of that. And then some of these are going to drop Kuiper too, but no gold. In about 13 minutes, you can open up 10. This is the route that I do, by the way, right here on screen. That's enough to pump out 80 of those mixed energy residues. Vaults are really good early game farms. So after all is said and done, when you complete all these farms, you'll end up with 2.4 million in gold, which is good because it's going to cost you a little over 1.87 in order to craft all of those catalysts, all 10 of them. And then you're going to end up with a total of about 310 Kuiper. The footage you're seeing here are the 11 patterns that I got from the Echo Swamp Derelict Outpost. 10 of those had a 20% possibility of giving me one of these catalyst blueprints, and the other one was for an energy activator because a Sharon came through at one point. Out of those 10, I got 3 catalysts, which is pretty good, no doubt. I mean, this is RNG, so there's no guarantees there. You could end up getting 0. But I find that a 20% chance does a decent job at delivering catalysts, which is why I have so darn many of these. So now that you got this out of the way, you can just focus on playing the content that you like and leveling up your character in between catalyst applications. I hope this really helps you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
One and only.
And this was another episode of The First Descendant. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The First Descendant. And if you like videos like this, check out the one I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy or download anything for The First Descendant, be sure to use Tux's creator code to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Follow me.